Hello and welcome. In this short tutorial, I'm going to show you how to use MSI Afterburner and RivaTuner to monitor your in-game performance. So if you've seen those fancy on-screen displays in the game videos where they show the wattages of the CPU usage, the GPU usage, and temperatures, this will show you how to basically get that set up. So once you've downloaded MSI Afterburner and have it installed, you'll have installed two things. There's MSI Afterburner, and also here is RivaTuner. You need both of these applications to work side by side together in order to get the on-screen display. There is another option which is CapFrameX, also referred to as CXStatsTuner or CXStats, and I'll be covering that application and setup of that and configuration in a separate video. MSI Afterburner is the most popular application, so let's go over this one first. So for MSI Afterburner, once you've launched it, you want to go here to the cogwheel, which is the settings. First thing, make a note of what is your GPU number. So GPU 2 is my 3080, and that's the GPU I want to monitor. Then head over to the monitoring tab, and here you can start to tick mark. For example, like let's say I want to start to monitor memory usage and GPU memory clock. I can tick mark these by clicking on the tick mark. Now keep in mind that selecting them in blue like this does not achieve actual monitoring. You need to have a gray or a darker tick mark here. The next thing is, once you've got a dark tick mark for each of these items, you'll need to toggle this show on-screen display. If you don't have this toggle set, you will basically be monitoring it, but you won't see it reflected in the on-screen display. So you need to do both steps. Step by step, select first the stat you want to monitor, then toggle on its on-screen display. Now, not all stats have the graph displays. For example, frame time is a very interesting one. So if you go here to frame time, you'll also see here once you toggle on-screen display, towards the end of that option here, you'll have another drop down which allows you to do text, which just gives you a number for your frame time. Or you could have a graph, which you've often seen in the videos where you get the little frame times being graphed to see how stable is your frame rate, particularly for the 1% lows. So once you've got that, another thing you can do is you can hold down Control and Shift keys to select multiple options. Like let's say frame rate. I want to frame rate and frame time to be the last stats that you see in my on-screen display. I think it looks visually more appealing and it's more aesthetically nicer that way. So I'll grab these two and you basically start to drag and you'll see here that it starts to scroll the list. Now, once you want to reorder them, you drop it on top of the item that you want to push further down. It's a bit finicky and trying to get it precisely positioned in between stats is a little tricky. So this is the best trick that I found to work consistently. So I drop it here, and now here my frame time and frame rate will be at the bottom of the list in terms of the graph. Another thing here you can do, as you can see here, I've selected a few of these. For example, my GPU stats, and I've basically reordered the name. Instead of GPU 2, which is pretty meaningless, I can set override and say RTX 3080, much more meaningful name for monitoring in the on-screen display. One more cool feature about MSI Afterburner is an on-screen display toggle. So you can set this by, you can go in here and set a keyboard shortcut which will allow you to enable and disable from within your game with just a combination of keyboard shortcuts as long as MSI Afterburner is running in the background. So you can go into your on-screen display tab and you have three options. You can either set different keyboard combinations for show or hide, or in my case what I like to do is just to have one key shortcut which is basically for toggling it on or off. So to do that, click in this field here. Once you see the cursor, basically start to press on your keyboard the shortcut combination that you want to have to be able to toggle this. So in my case I like Control Shift Alt bracket, and once you've set this, just click apply and click OK. That's really all you need to do there in order to start getting the stats on the screen. And let's see what we've got thus far. Now, let's jump into The Witcher and I'll show you what the on-screen stats looks like. So with that applied, we can now see that we're starting to get stats on the screen here. However, they're a little bit small and a little bit difficult to see, so it makes it challenging to be able to see what's going on. So there's a few things we can adjust in RivaTuner, which will give us much more visibility on these stats here. So let's switch over to MSI Afterburner. And let's open up RivaTuner now. So let's move this aside. We'll minimize this. And with RivaTuner, there's a few things here that we need to look at. So first of all, we need to turn the on-screen display on or off. So if you're not seeing it, go in here and make sure that it's toggled on. Next, if you're not getting the on-screen display, sometimes there's older apps or quirky games that may not get the display working. In that case, play with the application detection level and you can switch between none to high to try to get the application to be detected and the on-screen display to be activated. Also, if you have games which have anti-cheat software that's installed, you can turn on stealth mode and it will help bypass the game crashing or the game stats not actually working. I like to turn this on and leave it there. There's no harm in doing so. The other thing is you can look here, there's a display shadow and there's a display fill. So these are basically to help get a little bit more legibility for what your on-screen display looks like. And also you have a zoom here, which is just a slider, and sliding this basically changes the size of the on-screen display font. Now, another thing you can do here is if you turn on shadow, you can see that it's slightly visible here, but it's a little bit more noticeable in the game. You start to get this kind of black outline around your text. If you turn this off, you'll see here that the text is a little bit crisper, but you lose that, that border around it. So it's the intent here is to get a little bit more contrast so you can much more easily see that. You can also toggle a background for your on-screen display stats by doing a display fill. If you toggle this on, you can see here in the preview window that now you've got a background that's nicely filling out. Adjust the size to your heart's content. And once you're done there, minimize. And if you go here, boom, you'll now have some beautiful stats, a nice frame time graph as you run around and enjoy your favorite game. In some cases or some instances, you may find that you need to delay your on-screen stats before, otherwise it crashes your game. So for doing that, go into setup here and you'll notice at the bottom that there is an injection delay in milliseconds. You can basically change this to 30,000 for 30 seconds, for example, or 60,000 for 60 seconds. If you wish for Riva Stats Tuner to wait until your game is fully loaded, booted up, running on your system before it injects the on-screen display. In a few cases, edge cases, this may come in handy. So just wanted to point out that this option is indeed there. And basically that's all you need to know in order to monitor your in-game stats like a pro. Lastly, let me just demonstrate the keyboard shortcut and that'll wrap up this quick tutorial video. So let's see, here I am playing my game and I look at all the stats, everything looks nice. I decide that I want to quickly toggle it off so that I can enjoy my game. Just press your keyboard shortcut here and voila, you've toggled off your on-screen stats. You get a little stutter, want to see what's going on, toggle it back on and boom, you've got your stats back on. So hopefully you enjoyed this video. It's a quick and easy tutorial how to set up MSI Afterburner and Riva Stats Tuner to basically monitor your game in stats like a pro. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments below. Also, if you liked my video, please share across your social media channels, subscribe to my channel, and like this video so I can continue to bring you more content like this in the future. Thanks for watching and see you in the next one.